Hey everyone, welcome back. Have you ever wondered what kind of gear you need to get up and running recording your classical guitar at home? Let's get into it. So today's video isn't really going to be a gear demo, and I'm not really going to try to sell you on specific pieces of gear. I just wanted to talk about what exactly you need when you're getting into recording classical guitar in a home studio setup. Kind of like the bare minimum of what you need to make like a home studio. And everything I'm going to mention in this video is pretty much assumed to be on a budget. So none of it's going to be like astronomically priced. By the way, there's links to everything I mentioned in this video in the description below, so check those out. One of the biggest questions I get asked a lot is just what do I even need to get started? And I've kind of narrowed it down to three basic things. You need a microphone, you need an interface, and you need some sort of monitoring solution. So let's start with the microphone. This is the concept that everybody is familiar with. So when you're recording classical guitar, at least on a professional level, generally you have 2 mics, 3 mics, whole bunch of crazy stuff. If you go on certain web pages, they'll tell you to buy just the most astronomically insane special vintage mics and interfaces that have just like 1 million preamps and all this kind of stuff. You need one microphone, mostly because one microphone can record audio whereas 0 cannot. And that is all you need. If you're just starting out, really don't worry about getting 2 microphones, don't worry about stereo, don't worry about anything. That's just gonna cause extra problems that you're gonna have to deal with. It's gonna discourage you, it's really annoying, and it costs more money. So really just get one microphone, you'll be happy, trust me. I also recommend just getting one microphone just because on a budgetary basis, you can get one really good microphone or you can get 2 kind of pretty bad microphones that are really noisy or they just don't have that great of a sound. A few that I like to recommend is pretty much anything by Lewitt Audio. They make great stuff for the price. Or maybe like an Audio Technica 2020. That's what I started with. Like that was my first like decent good mic. I even recorded an entire EP with that. And it sounds great. It's relatively low noise. It's a large diaphragm condenser. And that's another thing I should mention is when you're starting out, I generally recommend maybe a large diaphragm condenser. Just because I know a lot of people might use this for something else. Like if you're gonna do YouTube or you're gonna do something else, you need a mic. I guess you can't see it off screen, but you need a large diaphragm mic for vocals. Or if you're a singer, you can use that for your vocals and guitar, and you'll just get a little bit more bang for your buck. At least in the US, the Audio Technica 2020 is usually a flat like $100. It's like $99 and it sounds great. So I generally recommend that to like most people. And when you start out with one microphone, you're forced to move it around to get different tones. Rather than messing with 2 microphones or messing around with like, oh, I need a small diaphragm versus a large diaphragm, which is really fun, don't get me wrong, I've got videos on that. But when you're starting out, you really don't need to mess with that. You just need to get a microphone, get going, recording, getting through the process, even just learning how to set everything up, and you really don't want to mess with that. And the more stuff that gets in the way of you making music, the less fun you'll have overall, which is kind of the point. Now, the second piece of gear you'll need for your home studio is an interface. And this is just basically almost how it sounds. It's a way to get your audio from the microphone into the computer. And these come in a variety of price ranges. The ones that I generally recommend are anything by Focusrite, but there are tons of other great brands too. Motu makes great stuff, Audient makes wonderful stuff. Really just get whatever is in your price range. Even Behringer makes really great stuff if you're on like a really tight budget. Audio interfaces are great for a few reasons, and this is one reason why I recommend these over something like a Zoom recorder, which can technically be an interface, but isn't quite as full featured. The interface basically is the hub of your entire home studio. This is the thing that has the microphone preamps, so how many mics you can use, this limits that. That's why I recommend at least getting one that has 2, even if you're just starting. Just so you don't have to then buy a whole new interface and then trash the one that you already have. You can buy one that has 2, get 1 microphone, and then when you're ready to upgrade, you just buy a new mic and a mic cable, you're good to go. You don't have to go buy a whole new interface, and that just wastes money and it's such a hassle. The other thing that interfaces do is they take the place of your computer's sound card. So when you're recording and you're running plugins, you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff, or if you're just listening to like YouTube videos or something, it takes the place of your computer sound card and all of the audio is routed through that. So it's just kind of a huge upgrade overall as far as like digital conversion and stuff that you'll worry about in 10 years anyway. So the last thing that an interface does, and this kind of segues into my third biggest point, is it gives you a way to monitor what you're doing. Most interfaces on the back have a series of line outputs that can either go to monitor speakers, or they have 1, maybe 2 headphone outs right on the front. So either you can listen to what you're recording, or you can listen to what you're recording while you're recording it. So maybe you want to hear the reverb in the headphones while you're actually playing. Point being is that whether or not you're actually recording in the moment or you're going to listen to something you have recorded, you need a way to accurately monitor it. So the interface gives you the ability to monitor it, but you also need something like headphones or studio monitors. Now, for most people that are just starting out, get headphones. For a couple reasons. One, they're cheap, because studio monitors are ridiculously expensive, even for budget ones. Sometimes if you go too low in budget, you might as well just save your money and either get a pretty good set of headphones for the money, or just keep waiting until you can get a decent set of studio monitors. The second problem with that, though, is that once you have studio monitors, you then have to treat your room. You have to get acoustic panels, foam, all kinds of stuff to get an accurate picture of your mix. And it's great if you have that stuff, but it can be very expensive and time consuming. So really just get a decent pair of headphones. For me, I'd either recommend an Audio Technica set of headphones or something by Sennheiser. Those are kind of my two favorites. Beyerdynamic makes a couple that are really great, that are fairly cheap. They make awesome high-end stuff too. But basically get a set of headphones that you can trust. Studio headphones are a little bit different than consumer ones, so you really don't want to mix them like AirPods or Beats or something like that, because they're made to sound good really no matter what you're putting through them. They're consumer grade headphones that just want to make music and stuff sound good. Whereas studio headphones specifically have a couple things where, one, they generally cancel out noise, so you don't really hear things around you, which is great. The other thing is they have relatively flat response, meaning they don't hype the treble and they don't really hype the bass. Like if you listen to like Beats headphones or something like that, and you just hear boom, boom, and that can really mess with your picture of what you're listening to when you're trying to mix. So that's why you need a reliable monitor solution, whether or not it's a studio monitor or like a headphone or something. You need to be able to actually hear what's coming through your speakers or through your headphones, so that way you can make EQ decisions. You can make decisions like reverb and be fairly accurate. So when you like listen to it on somebody else's speakers, on your car, something like that, it doesn't sound like complete garbage. But really, those are the three main items that make up a home studio: your microphone, your interface, and headphones or studio monitors, whichever one you want to use. But if you have those three, you're pretty much good to go. And remember, everything I mentioned in this video and more is in the description below. Feel free to check out other videos demoing these things. I've put together a couple guides that'll help you, at least narrow down what you want in certain price ranges. I've tried to bracket them out by like kind of cheap, middle of the road, and then really not super expensive, because when you get to audio stuff, the sky's really the limit. You can just basically mortgage your house and, it's crazy. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover in future videos like this one, leave them in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.